10 Essential Rules for Living a Meaningful Life. Life is a complex journey filled with challenges, opportunities, relationships, and moments of profound significance. Throughout human history, philosophers, spiritual leaders, psychologists, and ordinary people who have lived well have discovered certain principles that seem to transcend culture, time, and circumstance. These principles aren't magical formulas that guarantee success or happiness, but they are guideposts that can help us navigate the inevitable difficulties we face while maximizing our potential for growth, connection, and fulfillment. What follows are 10 rules for life that emerge from wisdom traditions across the world, supported by modern psychological research, and validated by the experiences of countless individuals who have found ways to live with purpose, resilience, and joy. These aren't commandments handed down from on high, but rather invitations to consider approaches to living that have proven their worth across generations. Rule 1. Take responsibility for your life. Perhaps no principle is more fundamental to living well than accepting full responsibility for your own life. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for circumstances beyond your control, nor does it mean denying the very real impact that luck, privilege, injustice, and other external factors have on our lives. Rather, it means recognizing that regardless of your circumstances, you are the primary author of your response to those circumstances. Taking responsibility means acknowledging that you have agency in your life. Even in the most constrained situations, you retain the freedom to choose your attitude, your effort, and your direction. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote about this principle powerfully in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He observed that even in the camps, where nearly everything was stripped away from prisoners, individuals still had the freedom to choose how they would face their circumstances. Some became cruel and self-serving, while others maintained their dignity and humanity. The external circumstances were the same, but the internal response varied. When you take responsibility for your life, you move from a position of victimhood to one of authorship. This doesn't mean denying that bad things happen or that you've been wronged. It means refusing to let those things define your entire existence. It means asking not, "Why did this happen to me?" but rather, "Given that this has happened, what will I do now?" This principle extends to all areas of life. If you're unhappy in your career, taking responsibility means recognizing that while you may not have created every circumstance that led you there, you do have the power to start moving in a different direction, even if that movement is slow and incremental. If your relationships are unfulfilling, taking responsibility means examining your own contribution to those dynamics rather than simply blaming others. If your health is poor, taking responsibility means acknowledging the choices you can make to improve it, even while recognizing factors beyond your control. The opposite of taking responsibility is making excuses. Excuses are seductive because they temporarily relieve us of the burden of action. If your failures are entirely someone else's fault, then you don't have to do anything differently. But this temporary relief comes at a tremendous cost. When you habitually make excuses, you surrender your power to change your circumstances. You become passive rather than active, reactive rather than proactive. Taking responsibility is liberating precisely because it restores your agency. When you stop waiting for your circumstances to change or for someone else to fix your problems, you can begin taking whatever small steps are available to you right now. These small steps accumulate over time into significant change. This doesn't mean you should refuse help from others or deny the importance of community, support, and solidarity. Asking for help when you need it is itself a form of taking responsibility. It means recognizing your limitations and actively seeking resources to overcome them. What undermines responsibility is the passive expectation that others should fix your problems for you without any effort on your part. Taking responsibility for your life is challenging because it requires you to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. It's easier to blame your boss, your parents, your spouse, or society than to ask what role you might have played in creating or perpetuating your difficulties. But this confrontation, though painful, is the beginning of genuine change and growth. Rule 2. Pursue meaning, not just happiness. Modern culture often presents happiness as the ultimate goal of life. We're told to follow our bliss, to do what makes us happy, and to avoid anything that causes discomfort or displeasure. But this focus on happiness as the supreme value is both misguided and counterproductive. Happiness is a wonderful thing, but it's ephemeral and often dependent on circumstances beyond our control. More importantly, the single-minded pursuit of happiness often leads to its opposite. When you organize your life entirely around feeling good in a moment, you avoid the difficult tasks that lead to long-term fulfillment. You neglect responsibilities, avoid challenges, and miss opportunities for growth. A more robust and sustainable approach is to pursue meaning rather than happiness. Meaning comes from engagement with something larger than yourself, from taking on worthwhile challenges, from building and maintaining important relationships, from creating something of value, from alleviating suffering, from pursuing truth, or from connecting with something transcendent. Unlike happiness, meaning doesn't require that you feel good all the time. In fact, meaningful pursuits often involve significant struggle, sacrifice, and discomfort. Raising children is meaningful but frequently exhausting and frustrating. Building a career or mastering a craft is meaningful but requires years of tedious practice and repeated failure. Maintaining a marriage is meaningful, but demands psychological research supports the importance of meaning over mere happiness. Studies have shown that people who report high levels of meaning in their lives tend to have better mental health, greater resilience in the face of adversity, and more life satisfaction over the long term compared to those who focus primarily on seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. The psychologist Martin Seligman has written extensively about this distinction. He identifies 3 levels of happiness: the pleasant life, focused on maximizing positive emotions; the good life, focused on engagement and flow; and the meaningful life, focused on using your strengths in service of something larger. Pursuing meaning often requires delayed gratification. It means doing things today that will pay off years from now. It means making sacrifices in the present for the sake of a better future. This is difficult in a culture that emphasizes instant gratification and immediate pleasure, but it's essential for building a life you can be proud of. Meaning also tends to involve commit to a relationship, a career, a cause, or a creative pursuit. You're accepting certain obligations.